The TrekWorks YouTube channel is sponsored by Tenant Controls, makers of lighting kits, soundboards, and more. Tenant Controls brings your models to life. And by HDA Model Works, suppliers of scale model lighting products, detail parts, and complete model kits. Visit HDAModelWorks.com today. Hi there everybody, Boyd here with you, and welcome to part 2 of our shuttlecraft Galileo build. This is the resin Randy Cooper kit. As we talked about in the first video, this is around 1/30th scale. We've been doing quite a bit of work to it since the last video. We've got our nacelles put together now, and we've got the upper half of the shuttle body painted, and most of the wiring's completed on the interior with all the lighting. I've got the computers installed on the wall, and our flight console is all wired up and lit up, so we're going to show you a little bit of that here and get you guys caught up on where we are with this. I still haven't got the little control boards for our spinning bassards yet from Tenant Controls, but I'm prepping everything up and getting ready to install these. I'm putting my pre-wiring into these. If you guys remember in the last video, we had these cut in half so that we could drill all the way through them and everything and get them hollowed out. So that's all been done. I put them back together, did a little bit of putty work on them, got them sanded and primed, and they're pretty much ready for paint. So what I've been working on here now is I've been running some wires through here. Talking to Ralph at Tenant Controls, we're going to probably need 4 wires that come out here in the front to connect to the bassard boards that go in here for that spinning effect. And then I'm lighting up the tail end here. I've made these little sort of little bulkhead or LED holders here. I'm just using a simple white 5mm LED connected to a 470 ohm resistor, and we're going to have these at the tail. And I've taken the little clear globes that come with this kit and hollowed them out a little bit so that they'll just kind of sit over the top of these and light those up real nice. So that's all pretty much ready to go. So I'm pulling wires through here in various places, and then I'm going to run them up through these holes that I've got drilled in the top, and they're going to go up in the bottom of our trenched out areas that we showed you in the last video here, so they can terminate up inside the interior of the model. Now, I talked about in the first video that the plan was to bring my wiring down and bring them out through these feet here and into my base. Well, I got to thinking about that a little bit more, and I wanted to you know, make sure I didn't have any wires that were visible, but I thought, well, if I hardwire it down on the base, it'll be, you know, permanently mounted on the base, and I'd like to be able to pick this up and, you know, display it if I want to, or show it to people. So I came up with this little idea. I've got these little conductive strips of brass that I mounted down here on the feet, and I've got a wire connected to each one. I can slide this out here a little bit here and show you. I've got a little red wire on this side, and I got a black wire on the other side there, and that's my plus and minus. So basically what that'll do is I'll connect my power source when I come into my base, whatever I mount this on, with the same kind of terminal sitting flat on top of that. Line it up with the feet here. I'll have plus on one side and minus on the other, so that when the model is sitting down on top of the base, it'll make a connection here and everything will power up. Of course, it won't light up when I pick it up, but that's okay. And that way I don't have any wires coming out or anything like that. Everything will be completely contained inside the model, so that's going to work out pretty cool. So I just ran a wire up through here, brought it back, and it's going to come up through this area here and inside and bring power to everything inside. The control board for the spinners will be inside the model, and so that'll all work out really good. So I mentioned too that I modified these landing feet. I just used a small piece of brass tubing, went to the hobby store and got some, and just cut off the pegs that were on these to begin with. I'll get this a little closer here for you. They're just slightly thicker than what was there, but nobody will be able to tell. And they'll be, I think they're going to be sturdier too. I was kind of worried that the you know, the resin parts there might snap off or something, especially if I'm picking the model up and setting it down a lot and all that. So I replaced it with these hollow tubes, and that way I can run the wire through there and everything. That was what I kind of talked about in the first video. So we've got both of these ready to go. I haven't glued them or anything yet because when we set the model up here, it kind of sits on these little landing feet up front, and then it's got the, you know, the third kind of landing gear in the back there. And I want to make sure that I get the height of everything right and level and everything before I glue these in place. So, but we've got to paint all this and everything, put the decals on there. But it's coming along really good. So sliding the nacelles out of the way, now we're going to talk a little bit about what we've been doing here on the body and the interior of the shuttle itself. I've went ahead and painted this. I've got it painted sort of an off-white, kind of a little bit of gray mixed in with it. I went with reference pictures that I found that I took of the full-size Galileo when I visited the display at the Johnson Space Center a couple years ago. So I had some good clear pictures of it, and I tried to match that paint color. Of course, we're going to do a little bit, you know, of gray here on the bottom, a little bit darker gray. But we're going to paint the bottom side last. But what I want to do here is I want to get this all painted and all sealed. I've got it all painted up, and I've got a nice coat of high gloss clear finish on this to seal up the decals. And this is my first coat. I'm actually going to put another coat on this because I can still slightly see the edges of my decals here just a little bit. So the plan is I'm going to wet sand this all down with some 600 grit paper, you know, and get it all smoothed out. There are a couple tiny little specks of dust that got in it here and there. Not bad at all, though. It came out really nice. But we're going to repaint another coat of clear on this, and that'll be my final coat, and that'll hide all the decal edges and everything. But it actually looks really good. I got one little run right up here, just a really tiny one that'll sand right out. And we'll get this all cleaned up and looking really good. And the reason I did it this way is that we're going to put the glass in up front here. And I was really worried about getting any kind of overspray on that or any kind of trash on it or anything, either from the inside or the outside. And to me, that will really ruin, you know, the way this looks. The glass has to be like perfect, so when you look in here, it looks nice and clean. Same thing around the edges of the door here. We don't want to get any paint or, you know, trash on the inside here. So I'm going to basically mask this whole thing off after I get my final coat of clear put on this, and we're just going to work with this little seam around the bottom here, and when we, you know, do our putty line here and on the other side, and of course around the edges here, get this all cleaned up and glued together. I'll just have to blend in my paint around this edge, and then I can come back and clear coat and blend all that in and get it all cleaned up real nice. We've got the back painted. It's just the basic area here. I've got to paint some more, you know, sharper detail around here. It's kind of rough right now, but I've got one coat of gloss on this as well. It looks really nice. But we've got all of our interior wiring done. It's all lit up. I'm going to take the camera off the tripod in a second and show you a peek at the interior and how it looks. We had to do our scribe line here. We've got these two separate panels here in the back and the one going across, sort of a T shape like I talked about. Got that all done. So it's coming out really nice. Now I use the aftermarket decals from HDA Model Works on this, which I really like how they turned out. I didn't have any problem at all with them. They laid down really nice and didn't react with anything, so we're good to go on that. We've got some more little detail ones that go around the bottom half, and of course the ones that go on the nacelles. But we'll do that when we get to the bottom half of the model. So we're going to get this all glued together, you know, the seam work done. There is supposed to be a slight little line here going across on the wings on each side. So we'll probably putty that, and we'll probably have to take and scribe a little line back into that. You don't want it to be too outrageous, but it's supposed to have a little bit of line right there, almost like they had it so these wings could separate off the main hull or something, maybe for service or something like that. Who knows? But so we'll try and put that little detail back on there. And of course the nacelles themselves, I'm going to blend them in really nice. When we glue them on here, I'm going to putty all the way around these seams right here and get this so it blends in really nice and we don't see any gap. I've got a tiny little chip in the resin right there, but we'll clean that up. So just a few things to do, but it's coming around really good. It's starting to get pretty heavy. It's actually a really heavy little model made out of solid resin like this, but it should sit on the base really nice and everything when we get it all squared away. And you can see the other side here, but paint job came out real nice on it. It'll look even better when we put another coat of clear on it. So that's kind of where we are, guys. I'm not going to be able to do too much more work on this until I get my Bassard boards here. They should be here before the end of this week, and I'll be back with a quick update after that and show you the work that we're going to do getting those installed and kind of cleaning everything up here. Because like I said, I have to do all the wiring first, get it up in here before I glue these nacelles on and make sure everything's straight and all the wiring's cleaned up and terminated and everything. But let's take the camera off the tripod here. I'll come back in just a second and I'll show you the interior work that we did here with the lighting. We got our little computers on the wall lit up. We got our flight console lit up, and we'll give you a look at that. And I'll show you and talk about what I use to do all the lighting on the inside of this thing. So be right back with that, guys. Stand by. Okay, guys, let's take a peek on the inside of the Galileo here and show you what we've got going on. You can see we've got the flight console lit up there as we peek inside the door. Now I used some multiple color changing RGBs that are SMD type that I mentioned in the last video that I was going to use. I got those from Jerry at HDA ModelWorks. I used both the fast and slow ones and mixed them together, so that what we got going on there on the console on the right hand side there is that it will sort of start mixing colors together after they initially start up and changing and flashing at different rates and everything. So that worked out really good. Now I have the center console lit up. That little screen there in the middle is lit in orange, and there's some fiber optics in the dash, but I lit them really subtly so that they're not overly bright. You know, like I talk about all the time on these scale models, I try to keep everything in scale, and they're not showing up super bright because we have the overhead lighting going on in here. But here on the sides we have the flashing SMDs that I use for these wall computers, and all three of them are lit. The one in the back there behind that other chair is a little bit hard to see. We might be able to see if we look through the front window, way in the back there, peeking out. But we've got all that going on in there, and so it worked out really nice. I'm really happy with that. Hopefully it's not blurred out for you. But you can see we get a kind of an infinite amount of colors going on that flight console. Now I boxed that entire thing in with styrene plastic so that you can see that we don't have any light leaks coming out around the edges of it, or on the walls behind it or anything like that. It worked out real good. Just cut out some shapes and glued it all together and hid all the wiring. You can see we've got the wires hidden on the wall there where the computers are, or whatever they are, little terminals. And since you can't really see the ones on this other side, I didn't bother to light those, but mainly what you can see inside the door here. And then we turn the model and we can see we've got the back end lit up in that nice warm white lighting that we saw on the original television show, the actual model. Now they've changed it with the CGI and all that, but I wanted to do it the way it looked on the original show with the original scale prop. And it was just done in some regular warm white lighting, just like that. Not super, super bright. And I was going to go ahead and light this little area right down here. You can see I've got it cut out. We're going to do that in red, but doing some research and getting some feedback from some people, that's supposed to be just painted red. It's not supposed to be lit up. I thought maybe it was the impulse engine or something like that. Now the actual restored Galileo that they have at the Johnson Space Center, they do have that lit. They have it lit kind of in an orange color, which I guess they kind of took that liberty. And I noticed that the shape that they have back here on this model, it looks really accurate to the original, but the new one, the restored version, those shapes are quite a bit different, so they kind of changed that because that original panel had long since rotted away and was nothing left of it, so they just kind of did the best they could. But we're trying to keep this one, kind of accurate to the original series and the original scale model and the full-size props. So there you have it, guys. It's looking really good. You can see our nice glossy paint on this, and that's my plan. I'm going to leave it kind of glossed up. I think it looks nice that way. I actually looked at a video of Randy Cooper, who produces this kit, who built this himself, and he did it with a kind of a high gloss, and I really like the way it looks, so we're going to stick with that. That'll show off our nice paint job. And we did a lot of work on, I did a lot of work on the body itself to get rid of small little imperfections and stuff that it had in it. As I said, I've got one little run right here that I've got to buff out, and we're going to put another coat of clear on this. But all in all, the decals are laying down pretty good, and one more coat and they'll be completely hidden. They'll look like they're painted on. So okay, guys, well, I hope you'll tune in for the next update on this. As I said, hopefully it won't be too long. I'll have the boards here before the end of the week, and I'll be able to move forward. But right now I'm kind of stuck until I get those. So I just wanted to give you guys an update so you didn't miss anything about what we're doing, and we'll take you through the final steps of this all the way to the finish. So see you for the next video, everybody. Take care out there, and like always, happy modeling, everyone.